All right, CVO, we're here once again, another Wednesday here, trying to chart out the day, trying to trade out the day, guys. I am gold plated out everywhere. I got golden pockets everywhere. Help me out here. So I got a golden pocket, right? We saw what happened yesterday. Bitcoin took a big nosedive all the way down to the freaking 57 some change, 57.9, and it had a quick little bounce back up, been ranging sideways here. That was the perfect entry point. I missed it. I was like, all right, I'll wait for it to come back and sweep the previous day low. It didn't. I missed it again. So it came back up. Now it came back to the daily open, but wicked below it to this little mini gold pocket, which is pulled from this move, from this lower, from this higher low to this move up here, puts this gold pocket in place. This gold pocket comes from the ultimate low to this top move up here, right? And then this gold pocket over here comes from the high to this local low right now, right? We're getting rejected off that. So we had a little bit of rejection off here. Let me zoom in a little bit so people can see it. A little bit of rejection here. Where do I go? Do I right now the VWAP is meeting the daily open. I'm thinking that is the best entry point, is wait to see if it does come to the daily open once again, bounce off this VWAP one last time for a last potential long here for Bitcoin. But what do you think? Too many golden pockets? Or any less pockets? What do I need?
You need less pockets, man. Too many gold pockets. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come back to that later. Yeah. So let me see what you got here. Some gold pockets all over the place.
Yeah. So this overall gold pocket, right, from the ultimate low to this local high right here, puts us down here. This gold pocket, right? We have this local gold pocket here from this high to this low. Puts us, or I should say, sorry, this gold pocket comes from this low to this high, gives us this gold pocket right here, which also lines up with the 0.5 of this larger gold pocket, which we bounced off of perfectly. And then this gold pocket just comes from this high to this low, giving us some rejection here, which we are rejecting off of right now, and bouncing back down, giving me the only last potential of hope here is at this daily open that is being met by the VWAP as well.
Yeah, that's probably the spot I'd look for at this point. Otherwise, probably lower. Yeah, like probably back down below the 58. Let's just see, or not. Yeah, towards that like 58.7. That'd be the second best one, right? So around that region. The Asia low comes in around there as well. So I mean, that's probably like where the the area that I'd look for. But I wouldn't overlook the that daily open right there. With the VWAP. So since we already kind of pierced through it and like kind of met that local area already, if you just come back and get a little back test there, that'd probably be the next little best long for the moment being. For me, like I would look for it there for sure. Let me see real quick too, because I think Ethereum was like dancing around. Yeah, Ethereum went straight to the VWAP as well. Didn't come down to daily open, but everything kind of back tested there for the morning now. So definitely the area I'd look for right now for just a short. If we're going to look for our 10% for the day, I would look to,
baby, all I need
to grab it right there. Yeah, man. What a drop! What a drop yesterday too, man.
Yeah, pull up your screen. Walk us through yesterday. What happened? I mean, we were shorting yesterday, but obviously we missed the overall large short. But you were able to scoop it in. So show us what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum yesterday. How your longs are doing from yesterday. Show the people. People need to know. They want to know.
They need and want. Yes, sir. All right. I think I just shared. If you want to pull it up, could be wrong. Okay. Yeah. So in yesterday's stream, and pretty much like my outlook for the week, like how I was saying, right? Every week I take a look at the previous week data on Sunday night. So while yesterday we were looking for that pullback to like 60,300, which is pretty much where we came up and kind of punched back up to today. I mentioned that wasn't like an end all be all. That was just an area where if we came down and we held that area, that would be a good spot to kind of look for the reversal. It fell a little bit long, lower beneath that about 4%, which is something you got to be aware of, right? So what the area I was looking for, the 60,300 to 60,800, reason being, right, was we had a naked point of control sitting there, and then we had an untapped daily, and it was right here, right? And it was also basically the low, the value area low of the overall range that we've been sitting in, you know, with Bitcoin since February, which comes in right there as well. So I was looking for, you know, the idea at the time was something along the lines of that, right? But had to be aware at the same time that that was the middle of last week's range. So just like, you know, my boy Magic used to always say, probably still does, right? You don't want to diddle in the middle, essentially. But there was, you know, a case to be made there. But essentially all we did here was, this is now last week's range. I think you were covering this last night on your live stream. I kind of popped in while I was at my fantasy draft last night. But yeah, that's essentially all we did here, right? So we opened up the week up here. The ideal situation would have been, and I actually didn't even get a short off of this because I just didn't get a great entry. And this actually took place, this little last push up took place on Sunday. So the week wasn't necessarily closed. So I had a situation like you where I was waiting for the week to close, and then I was going to take, you know, look for that sweep of the high to get the short, just how you were saying earlier. You were looking for like us to take yesterday's low. But we never got it, right? So the idea was that was the ideal area to come up and take the highs and then close back below and then basically run the range, right? You had the point of control right here. We had that daily level. But ultimately, you know, once you re-enter the range, you do have to be aware that we have high likelihood that we're going to rotate that range. So it's exactly what we did. So it's nothing crazy. I'm not sure if there was any news or anything around this yesterday. It didn't really look like it. So I saw many people were just like, oh, Bitcoin dumping for absolutely no reason, right? And that's just the glory of, you know, TA basically is we see this set up time and time again. You see this on the daily time frame time and time again. We're probably going to do something similar to this, you know, today as far as on a daily, because now we have a new daily range that's basically just above us. You know, almost every time you get these dumps, the next day you get a pump, vice versa. You get a nice little pump for a week, and then you dump for a week. You come back and you fill in all these voids basically. But yeah, super simple. Pretty much just ran last week's, you know, data essentially.
Perfect. So
there's your day open. There's your day open entry, by the way, for your trade.
No, where is it? Where am I? I don't see it. Oh, snap.
You're sitting on it right now.
I'm sleeping, bro. I'm sleeping. They catch me sleeping every time I look away, bro. Every time I look away. They're just like, dump it. All right. Okay. It's coming down. Coming down. See, do I wait for the bounce or I wait for it to see if it falls through? What do I do?
I would, for the stream's sake, I would just take it.
Just take it for the stream's sake.
Yeah. Go ahead. If we get stopped out, you get stopped out, you know.
Well, come back down, bitch.
So what we're looking at right now, by the way, for anybody, right? We're just looking for a short-term little move for the stream. We try to catch a little live trade for you guys. So far, we've taken one every day. Monday, we were doing a little test run, me and Crusader, off camera, but we took one and it was essentially like this. Yesterday, we took a little bit more of a riskier play because the market was just in motion already. But generally, this is like right now the New York session is in play, so you have traders actively looking for setups. Anybody that didn't take anything yesterday, these are the key areas that you kind of want to look to. Still not technically the best area to enter, but definitely just for like a short. If we're just going to look for a short term like 1% move, just to range around in this region back to the daily pivot, which is the average of price from yesterday. Definitely an area where, we want to be looking to that daily open, especially with the VWAP coming in right there. So that's the volume weighted average of price for today. So it's like a moving average for the day. I'm going to just put this out in the Discord real quick for the.
All right. Drop those updates in there, bro. You're dropping updates every day since like 6 a.m.
I was slacking today, man. Freaking that fantasy draft last night.
Got you.
Dude, we were doing it till like 1 a.m, man.
Oh,
I was
my
like, Jesus
Lord.
Christ. Yeah.
Dude, how long does it take to draft a few fantasy people?
Well, there were 16 of us, and we were doing like a bid system. So it was like eBay, man, and everybody was waiting until like the last second to like up it again. So you have to wait like 10 seconds, and then it drains out every time somebody bids again. It's pretty cool, but it's just it took forever. Man. It was like 4 or 5 hours.
People, holy smoke, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, I'm being a cheapskate here. I still haven't jumped into my long because I wanted to get closer to the daily open and the VWAP, but it's kind of not there. I don't know.
A cheapskate. Come on, dude. You're talking about like $100 here. I mean, granted, yes. wait for your entry, but all right. Sharing this out, and then we'll get cooking here. We'll take a little bit more of a look.
Some of the altcoins here. See what's happening. Come on, 3 minute. The 3 minute looks like it wants to pull back a little bit. Come on, baby. Come on. Dump for me. Come on. Give me my entry. Come on. Give me that entry. What's going on? Maybe Band-Aid. What's going on, baby? Band-Aid.
Maybe Band-Aid.
Yeah, maybe Band-Aid. Took me a second to read it. Somebody says, do you think the bull run is done? Absolutely not. I was showing this. I actually made a video about it. I posted it on TikTok already. I'm going to be posting it on Twitter later. I mean, on YouTube later. I was talking mostly about Render and giving an update on Render's price. But the month of September, I can pull up here real quick some fundamental information so you guys can see this while we wait for entry point to hit. Keep me updated. We get closer to that daily open.
Dude, where's your robe?
They like to look for me, bro. They like to hit my entry points when I'm not looking.
I know, bro. I have to keep you on your toes, dude. Take a cruise again.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So, like, look, if we look at September, since 2013, every September has been red except for 3 occurrences in September. Back in 2015, 2016, and last year, 2023, we had a green September. Every other September has been massively red, right? So I expect another red September. Maybe we get the 4th green September ever, but I do expect another red September due to the fact of what we're seeing here. Right, we're on the 28th today of August, so August is coming to an end. But then look at October, bro. October is the complete inverse of September. Almost every single October has been massively green, except for 2 Octobers back in 2018, which was a bear market, and 2014. I'm assuming was a bear market because I see a lot of red throughout that year. Back in 2014, the only 2 Octobers that have been red. Everything else has been green, which is the beginning of quarter 4. So I think quarter 4 is going to do well this year, and I think October is going to be green. September could potentially be red, right? The odds are stacked that it's going to be red. Could come out in green, but the odds are stacked into the red for September. Which then, I honestly, answering that question, I do not think that the bull market is done. I think the bull market still has time to go. Oh, it's coming to my entry point. I told you, bro. I look away and they push it, bro, and they push it there. Come on, baby, come on.
I didn't even keep you up to date. My bad, bro.
Letting me down, man.
I know. I'm trying to launch this little TikTok real quick. See if we go.
Someone says Tezos, thoughts on that? I don't have any thoughts on Tezos. I don't really know what they're up to, what they're doing. I just have no idea what that project is doing. Honestly, I forgot that project even existed.
Tezos?
Yeah, Tezos. Yeah, Tezos. Okay, let me put my stop loss. Where do you think I should put my stop loss at the gold pocket that we just jumped out of, the 59,161?
Did you end up taking?
Yeah, I took the long at the open.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put it down there and then just look. You just look for a new entry if we get stopped out on it. Because, like I said, I mean, between there and honestly coming down and taking this little low over here, because I'm pretty sure that's the Asia low for the day, London low actually. So, yeah, probably put it like 1% away for now, and then just under that last wick at 59.
Under the wick of 59.
Yeah, 59.37. See how you do, man. See if we go 3 for 3 or 2 for 2 at least live.
Yeah, I hope so, bro. I hope so.
So obviously the better of the entries for the morning so far have been right here. But we were trying to set up the stream this morning. right when that happened. Literally, it was at 10 a.m. on the dot, which was when we were going to start. And that was just the local gold pocket here, which I'll take off all this stuff. But so let's just take a look. So we had the drop yesterday. And then this one right here happened overnight, which was that London low I was just kind of touching on. This was obviously a nice little gold pocket retrace as well. This just happens time and time again, right? So from this low here up to that high, right? Kind of hovered around the 382, but then you could see we basically just came right down to that gold pocket overnight. This was let's see, 8. So this was 4 a.m. For us Eastern wise. And then from there, locally we had another little leg up here, basically just ran into the daily pivot. All right. So this is the average price from yesterday. So this would have been the long of the day so far, right? Just like a nice 3% move right off that local gold pocket, right to the average price. We would have took profit there. And then from here, now we're just looking for the next best entry, which you can't really short in these levels. I mean, you can obviously, but the outlook for me is probably that we'll head higher here. And honestly, I see us, a world where we push back up to like 61,000 today. So just kind of getting in. And generally, when Crusader enters a trade, the market goes absolutely opposite. So
it's coming for me, bro. It's coming for my stop loss, bro.
You already know that the second he
dude.
entered, they were like, "Dump that sucker! Dump that sucker!"
Dude, I should have taken the short off the gold pocket of 59,824. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna retrace here back to the freaking thing," but I didn't want to short in the overall macro like bullish momentum that we've been having. But that would have been my second best trade there for the day. And oh god, they're coming for me. They're coming for me, bro.
Hold tight, buddy.
I'm puckered up, bro. I'm holding tight. I'm squeezing on tight.
That's it. So aside from that little move here, where Crusader might get stopped out for this little morning, but don't worry, we'll find the next one. Looking at that too, right? So like just like overall, we've got this just kind of came down right now. Like I said, where locally we just kind of came down to that small, just little retracement, right? You get all these little up moves, and then you just never want to chase it because you almost always at least get pull back to gold pockets, stuff like that, right? Which man, there's your gold pocket entry, even, buddy.
Yeah, I wish.
And yeah, so from here, we'll see how it goes. The only thing, like I said, for the morning now that we kind of have to look to is that we're in a new session, right? So every day you get the Asia session. And this is all just very short-term stuff, right? The overall move for the day still could be up, even though we're kind of getting a small pullback right now. But you get the Asia session, which starts at, basically 8 p.m. Eastern. And then you have the London session. And now we're in the New York session, right? And generally, just like you have previous day data, previous week data, you can even take those sessions and work from them, right? So like Forex traders, people that are trading across the world, they all kind of do that, use those time frames. And you'll see this time and time again. So for Bitcoin, right? So I'll throw them all up here for you. You had Asia. So we opened up the day, even though this last local low is there for the Asia session, it was the low was here. We swept that in the London session, right, which is the next session after that. And then we ran it. And then from here, you run the risk. So even if Crusader gets stopped out on this trade.
Your screen is lagging a little bit. So instead of saying here, like call out the price so that people know, because your voice is your shared screen is lagging. So you're talking about here and there, but the mouse is still somewhere else.
Okay.
Oh god, it's coming for me. I thought I was getting
it's gonna get you, buddy. Yeah, so the Asia low for the day, which is basically today's low, is sitting at, or was, I guess, when we started off last night at 8 p.m. It was at 58,881. We kind of coasted around, and then in the London session, the next session after that, right, we came down and we took the Asia low, right? So, and then once again into a local gold pocket of that low to high, right? So we came right down into that, and that was sitting at about 58,490. And then from there, we've gotten our rise. We came back to the average of price from yesterday. Now we're getting a pullback again. We came down. We just took a little long off of the daily open and the VWAP here, right? Because realistically at the time, that wasn't a terrible trade, just as long as you have a stop loss. Because at this point, you know, we do run the risk of doing just what we did in London session, where we come down now in our New York session and we sweep the London session, right? So, which is that back down at like 58.5.
Oh, I'm getting swept. All right. I'm getting swept. All right. My trade is barely hanging on, bro. It's barely hanging on.
You got to get under, dude. You got to pump it up.
It's turning green. It's turning green.
Here, let's go down to the 1 minute and see how we look. We'll get it pumping for you, buddy.
Come on.
Oh man,
it's not looking good, Crusader. You can do it.
It's not looking good.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's not looking good.
I'm getting 10%, but I'm getting negative 10%. Let me tell you, I got the wrong 10%, bro.
Don't let it get you.
Gosh. It's coming for me, bro. It's coming.
Dude, we're pumping it up. Somebody watching out there is a whale. They're gonna rescue you.
Come on,
or they're gonna hunt you down.
I know you guys are out there. Do this one time for me, please.
Dude, pump it up for the guy. You can't let him lose 10%.
Come on. I'm on a long right now. Somebody's asking short or long. I wish I was short, but I'm logging.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh no. Come on. Go back up. Go back up. Come on.
I'll put an alert there even. Let's see if we come down to it.
All
right. So the idea here too, right? So he's in from all the way back up here. So we got some groundwork to make up. But overall, looking at today, I'll take off all this like smaller stuff. We've got a new daily range just basically overhead, right? So the key for the morning here, no matter what or how we kind of, you know, play around in these areas here, is to basically get above the daily pivot, right? So the average price from yesterday, oh, it's coming for you, man. It's gonna get you.
It's over. It's over. Boom. It's over.
It rang.
So, hey, look, it's coming right back up right now. Hey. Dang it. It's going for the overall gold pocket to the downside. The 58.7. There it is. Oh, it's already almost there.
It's coming. That's already been tagged, though, is the only thing. So it could be. But I would just look for the London low now to get swept, right? So that's
where's the London low at?
It's the one at 58.5, pretty much.
58.5.
Other than that, yeah, previous day low is, you know, pretty much back on the table at that point. But yeah, so like overall for the day, right, we're not really doing a great job of getting back in the range. But if we manage to maneuver back into this region, and the key really is just getting back above 60,160. This is yesterday's range. Very likely that we'll run it, right, at least back to the naked point of control from yesterday. We've got previous day high and all kinds of other stuff coming in that region. All right. Classic case of stop loss should have been your entry.
Like always.
Like always. That was good. You know, this is the world of trading, right? We want to give you guys some realistic stuff too on the stream here, right? So I mean that really wasn't a bad trade.
We gotta lose money too.
Yeah, you gotta lose it.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta roll the dice, right? It could have had to bounce off the VWAP and daily open, and, you know, gone for the higher naked point of control on the upside, re-entering that range, but guess not. Right.
So, and that's kind of like for me for the day, like that's kind of my outlook, right? So I actually managed to enter yesterday pretty much right at like 58.3.
Savage.
So I'm chilling in that, and the reason being was just.
Did you take profits?
Oh yeah, I took profits at the daily pivot, but I'm holding it still. But that previous week range, right? So that run yesterday. So we came in. Obviously, I was looking to see if we're going to hold around that 60,800 to 60,300. But even if you like look right here on 15 minutes, we didn't even hold a 15-minute candle there, right? It was just a straight meltdown. So the next major area for me would have been really the previous week low, which we still can come down and take. So that is a really big area to look for, right? Is a sweep of yesterday's low, that trade that you were looking for at the beginning of the day, right? Because that's, you know, yesterday's low, it would effectively come down and actually take all of last week as well. And then you'd look for the reclaim and then, you know, kind of a run up from there. So that's kind of the best entry at the moment for like a long if we get it. Otherwise, you know, coming down, this was the range low yesterday, which is where I ended up grabbing. I took Ethereum at the same time. And not that ETH was really anywhere special. if Bitcoin was going to get a bounce, I just kind of anticipated the rest of the market too. So I grabbed Ethereum too at like 2411. And then, yeah, ETH is actually doing a little bit better, or was it earlier today. And then, let's see. Oh, ETH is back to the VWAP as well. Daily open just below it here. As far as ETH, it kind of poked into.
We got a new subscriber. Welcome, M. Adele. Adele. M. Adele.
Ooh,
thank you for appreciating. I appreciate you hitting that subscribe,
dude. Welcome to the squad, Madale.
We're not looking at stocks right now. We are looking at Bitcoin's chart. This is Bitcoin's chart.
This is actually Ethereum at the moment, but
okay. No, I didn't see you switch it.
It's all good. I don't like those watermarks that like go in the back because it just makes everything I don't know, it looks a little messy for me. So I just throw these little stamps. But yeah, so ETH here. What did I get? I got 2411 yesterday. And I didn't even look honestly at the chart. I just, like I said, I anticipated Bitcoin to pop up, so I just grabbed ETH at the same time. So yeah, those two are still doing a little bit of a run. Looking to get back into the daily range for yesterday as well. You got a naked point of control up here, and then probably look to just kind of rotate the range. So the overall thought process for the day is that we'll make a run through yesterday's range. The only question is, do we come down and sweep that low first? Right? Is kind of the idea. So. Don't necessarily know that or think that we necessarily have to. Coming down to some of these local lows is something that I'll probably look for because, like I said, just like Bitcoin, we have those previous sessions of the day. So, and that's anybody that woke up even in 8 o'clock and is trading Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything like that today, or anybody that took longs like I grabbed last night, slowly start scooting their stop losses up, right? So one of two things is that anybody that did manage to, like, probably few people grabbed the almost exact lows of these, but if they did, then stop losses get scooted up, and then what happens? We see it time and time again. You come down, you stop everybody out, and you run it back.
It's coming back up now.
Go down for a crusade. Did you actually get stopped out, or
oh no? Yeah, of course it did.
Oh, okay,
ain't no surviving that one. Came all the way down to 58.8. And now it's pumping right back up, bro. Pumping right back up now. Son of a.
That's all right.
We're going to go all the way back to the VWAP on now. We're going to retest the VWAP. Sweet baby Jesus.
Look at that. Came for you. A viewer just took you out, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, that whale, instead of pumping it for me, dumped it on me, bro. Just like, here you go.
New subscriber came in and just was like, I'm going to dump this guy. Knew exactly what you were doing.
Stopped out.
Awesome. Exactly. What kind of I'm not a big news guy. I'm just curious. What kind of, was there anything yesterday as far as like that would go, or?
I didn't see any massive macro news showing why things were dumping for Bitcoin. Absolutely nothing of any retort at all. All I've seen is actually bullish news, like BlackRock and Fidelity currently holding $33 billion worth of Bitcoin, more than 500,000 Bitcoin. So if I share my screen here real quick, you guys can see some of the positive news here. Fundamentally, things are always bullish. We got the CEO of Chainlink, Sergey Nazaruth, I don't know how to say that, predicts that real world assets are going to surpass the entire crypto market cap. I am very bullish on real world asset projects, so that's good to hear. The Ethereum Foundation deposited 35,000 Ethereum to Kraken, now at 2,400, down 8.8%. So that's a little bit of, that was 7 hours ago. That could be some of the shakiness of why Ethereum dumped a little bit. Ethereum Foundation dumping some Bitcoin. We got I did see some news, where was it, about some whales having to liquidate some positions on Ethereum because of margin calls, because they're always doing arbitrage, they're always lending out their Ethereum and then they're reusing that money, so they had to do something like that. Another bullish piece of news is that Hong Kong's hash key exchange secures approval to list AVAX and Link to real world asset and Oracle right here for Chainlink. Very bullish. The Ton blockchain is finally back up. It was down for like more than 4 hours yesterday. It was not working at all. So that wasn't good. But overall, bullish news. Nothing crazy. Our good old boy Goku back there, just contemplating on that stop loss I just got hit. But outside of that,
My boy
nothing.
Goku chilling.
Yeah, there's nothing out of this world that would be like, okay, this is exactly why Bitcoin had a major dump or something.
Yeah.
Look at this thing pumping back up. This is what grinds my gears. Because if I would have taken that revenge trade, I'd be like, no, it's going back up. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna shit it all over me. I could feel it, but it's okay. It's okay. Tomorrow's another day.
Man, we're gonna take a new trade here in a minute.
In a minute.
Hell yeah.
We're taking what? Short?
Nah,
Shorting the VWAP?
Nah, we'll find something. Find something good.
Amadel says, I thought Telegram CEO being arrested dumped the price. That happened on Saturday. It definitely dumped the price for Ton. I can tell you that. Ton's been having nothing but problems since then. Obviously, the blockchain stopped, halted for a few hours. It's had a nice drop, 15% this week so far. It's up 3.9% today. It's having a little bit of a bounce, up 5.9% the last hour. But it's definitely been struggling a little bit. I don't think that's the reason why the entire crypto market dumped. Definitely dumped a ton, over 12% on Saturday and then on Sunday as well. But yeah, I definitely don't see that being the reason for Bitcoin to come down. I honestly am thinking it's the fundamental information from the month of September. I'll share one more time for people that are looking at it. The monthly returns. Obviously, this is historical data. It doesn't have to continue this pattern, but the odds are, right? The month of September since 2013 has been nothing but red. There's only been 3 green Septembers since 2013. One being last year and the other 2 being back in 2016 and 2015. So the odds are that we get another red month in September, even though we have the rumor of the interest rate cuts coming in for September. But I'm more looking forward to October. October, Q4 of the year. That's where I think the big pop is coming. You can see here every month of October since 2013 has been green, except for 2 years, one in 2014 and one in 2018, which was definitely a bear market. And 2014 also looks like it was a bear market as well. So the only 2 months that were red. So I think Q4, October is going to be bullish.
It's kind of crazy to see that Bitcoin's only had 3 red months so far this year, and one is now, which still has time, I guess, to come up a little bit. Yeah. It's actually wild to think like that, because I feel like if you kind of gauge the market right now, everybody just feels so like deflated, and
even 2023. If we look at it, there's only 3 red months: May, July, and August. Everything else was green. We had like double digits for multiple months, all of 2023, and 2023 was still the bear market.
Right.
It was nothing but up. So January was 39%, March was 22%, June was 11%, October was 28%. Like big moves. Everything was green except for 3 months out of the year.
It's in 2020. So last year, obviously, I just remember like how the end of the year was awesome, right? Everybody was, everything was kind of pushing really hard. But it was very similar to this year already, right? Like where you think back and the overall year was good, but it was just such a slow grind. And then at the end, it just kind of blew up. But yeah, I mean, even Bitcoin was, traded from 15 to like 28 and then had a, pull back for a few weeks. And then, really, I guess kind of sat around that like 20 to 30 for quite some time, almost kind of like how we're sitting now between this like 60, 70, or I guess you could almost say 55. Yeah, crazy times. And for me personally, I mean, I kind of, who knows about September, what the month is going to bring, whatever. But in general, I guess there's still like the potential to come down. I don't love the fact we dumped back out of the range, right? Which
out of the macro range for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Pull that up real quick.
I'll pull that up for everybody too. So like, in the very short term, this is like small time frame right here. We're looking at, we're just kind of messing around with some short-term trades or areas to look for. But essentially, I'm looking for yesterday's range, which is this, right? Where we're like right now we're trading at like 59-ish K. And to get back into like 60,500 is getting us back into yesterday's range, right? So a couple of reasons that, that would be a good thing is just kind of get back into this region. Generally, we'll look for that move back up towards like 62 and then 63 for the range high on a shorter term outlook. And then for the macro, like overall, range we've been trading in for Bitcoin as far as volume would go, going all the way back to February, right? Like when we pushed up to the all-time high, give or take in March, is right there as well, right? So we had pushed back into this, last week. We got a nice little move up, put our little Batman ears up here, which was, like I said, last week's range, came and ran it now down to the downside. So ideally, we'd want to get back into that. And for me, ideally, before the end of the week, right? So looking at this in a weekly, chart, is last week we pushed, pretty hard back in, right? You can see these 2 weeks before it, we just had a wick and kind of closed back in. We wicked in and closed back out. Last week we pushed back in pretty aggressively, closed it up here. So if we could scoot back and kind of close this week, that'd be a good sign that we're probably going to see, the continuation of this range. But right now it's,
So if we don't see that, if we don't see this week,
it's not, there's not a guarantee by any means. It's just
No,
like,
no.
that's like, that'd be a good thing to note. Like, just like how we saw it, like pretty much right here, right? So you kind of pushed out, you close back in, and then from there it was just close back, rotated the range. So
yeah, but if we don't get that weekly close above the value area low of that range that Bitcoin's been in since February, it's potentially leading to the conclusion that we're probably going to be dropping lower, right? And then people start looking at like the lower 50s.
Yeah, I mean,
there's that 43 naked point of control down there.
Yeah, 43 is definitely, 67K is a big area for me. I know that it's kind of like overlapping data at that point, right? And this is all we can do, right? All we can do as traders, investors, whatever. Like you just have to, we have to be able to put on the risk and know the risk, right? And while we're trading at these levels right now, which is, we were just looking at 2023, 2024. Obviously, those were the years. Well, this is 2024, but 2023 at 15K and all that stuff, right? If you were around during those time frames, looking back, obviously, yeah, great time to get in, and that was the best time. But when you're living through that moment, what is always being tossed around, right? There's always a lower level everybody's waiting on or looking to, right? Because when you're living out that time,
dude, when we were at 15, people were calling for 8, 10.
Yeah. And the news was like the biggest thing, right? That kept everybody really fearful, really emotional. You just had FTX collapse. And they were, fearing that you were going to get the same deal out of things like, Binance or Coinbase and all that stuff, right? So that was like the number one fear thing.
Yep.
You watched everybody actually like selling out. I know a couple guys that like ended up selling literally the absolute low in December of 2022. And they were planning on buying back, like was the thing, but they sold so that they could, just kind of have a tax harvest, offset some of their losses and all this for the stocks. The stocks were, obviously increasing. And so crypto was going down, or vice. I can't remember what it was at the time. Maybe it was, they were both coming down. But
people sell bottoms, bro. Just in, on
dude,
August
it was
5th,
nasty.
When it happened, that we had this last big drop, I literally saw on TikTok some guy, I'm not going to mention who it is. He's like, I just sold the majority of my altcoins. I was like, dude, you just sold like not the absolute bottom because we could head lower, but dude, come on. You're going to choose today of all days to sell? Like, geez, Louise.
Right. But to answer the question of, do we start looking lower? Like while we're outside of this range, you have to anticipate we're going to head back lower, right? And there's some little local stuff around here. But realistically for me, if we start, heading down, once again, and especially into September, reason behind that is, I brought up, and we can kind of go over here too. When you look at like the moves on Bitcoin, there's just like price action. They have, gold pockets where you pull back to and retrace and all this. Well, you can actually put fib time, trend-based fib extensions basically in time, and you can see when just big pivots will come into the market. You don't know what it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be a low. You don't know if it's going to be a high. But it's an area to just kind of be aware of, right? And I've kind of like pulled all those in on one of my last videos on TikTok. and as well on YouTube. I believe it's actually my latest post, so you can kind of go check it out there. But essentially, from the overall all-time high that we put in back in 2021, I'm sorry, from the overall low, I believe we have a fib time coming up. So basically, the last bull run, right? And it's the gold pocket in time measured off of that last, high to low, basically. And generally from 2016 and then 2020 as well, those have been turning points where we got, we were ranging so hard before them. Sometimes you get a last little pullback as well, but generally in that time frame, it's what leads to the next leg up, right? So that gold pocket in time for Bitcoin right now is started on August 19th, and it goes till about the 23rd of September. So in that window, and it's, once again, it's on like a daily time frame, so it could be a couple days off, whatever. It's possible we get another dump, right? And if we do, 43 is a big one for me. And the reason being is this, right? So even though we've got this overall high time frame range, we still have been trading within the Q1 range of this year pretty heavily the entire time. And just like a simple rule of thumb out there, right, is that while you're within a range, or anytime you re-enter one, or get acceptance back into one, generally the price action seeks out the point of control, right? That's the area where most of the trading transactions took place, the highest area of volume, and it's an inefficiency essentially in the space when you leave a range and you don't come back and test it, right? So generally that's what you'll see, and that's this one right here is considered naked at the moment because we have not come back to it since that time frame or that range closed. And it is right down here, like 43K. So it's still on the table, right? It's not like it's completely, just off. And I know it's easy to talk about these prices when like prices coming down, everybody's a little more fearful. When prices are trading up in these regions, it's almost, laughable when you're talking about those levels. It might be even laughable right now. And I'm not saying we're going to come down here for sure, but that is this just notion, or the thought that we could. And on a technical reason, this is not just like I would love to, see Bitcoin come back to 44K because that's where I want to buy it at, or I want to buy alts down there or anything like that. This is a very technical setup, right? We've been trading within this region, and this is a likely target that like the longer we remain in this range, you have to be aware of, right? So does it have to happen? No. I was actually looking for this move when we came down to here. And the reason behind that, and just
on
for
August
anybody,
5th when we came down to
it was August 5th.
40,
Yeah. So August 6th through the 8th was a fib time I was looking at for a potential harmonic to play out on Bitcoin. And the reason I was looking for a 50% or 50% pullback potentially on Bitcoin was because of ETH, right? So ETH put in a huge pattern that played out, and I'll cover that here in a second. But that would be like a 40% drop if we get it. We haven't gotten it. Obviously, this could very well be the low. 33% is a pretty good drop to get, and it's been a few weeks now since we've got it. And and I was looking for that while we were trading up at these highs, and a couple things that like started poking its head around, and Ethereum having this super bearish pattern had me looking for something in Bitcoin, right? Like if Bitcoin really didn't have anything right away or as glaring. And I'll kind of show you the ETH chart real quick. We'll just kind of talk on it while we're waiting.
Another thing people don't really realize when you talk about 43,000 being a possibility is that the move past 43,000 up to the 50s and 60s where we're at was like almost all single prints. Like it was within a few days, right? There's only a little cluster of a week of trading volume sitting around the $54,000 to $50,000 range. And then if that drops out, if we drop below that, like there's not much holding up in volume at all the way back down to like about 43. And people don't realize that those things, just fall right through. There's nothing there. There's no support there to hold it up.
Right.
We're coming down, baby.
I was going to say, you ready to take another trade?
If it's going to make me money, hell yeah. At least break even. At least take me back to where I was.
We're going to lose all your money today. Yeah, so Bitcoin, when we were trading at 70K, ETH had obviously not put in any kind of all-time highs or anything like that, right? So this is the ETH chart, and got our 2021 high of like $4,800, our low, and then we came up to 4K. And when we came up to 4K, March, right? And we all remember how March was. Absolute mayhem, right? ETFs going wild, altcoins going wild, meme coins, just exploded at this point, which is always a dead giveaway. When NFTs, ICOs, meme coins, micro caps, low caps, when all of those are running for weeks on end, that is, at least historically, been a really great sign that like a top is either in or coming soon. And what the reason behind that is that everybody rushes into the market at that point because they've seen all these things kind of unfold. They're either waiting on the side or they were holding something that did not pump yet, and they're seeing all these things just pump and pump and pump. You got celebrities coming into the market. I mean, the amount of celebrities that actually created meme coins was wild to see, man. It's one thing when they were just like doing commercials and they had like laser eyes and all that stuff like back in the day, but
that's when the influencer coins started too. The influencer meme coins.
Influencers too. Yeah, influencers and celebrity like
coins, and man, the recipe for disaster.
It really was. And so in the trading group back in September of last year, I had noted, right? So it was literally, I could go back and find the post, but the price action looked like this. And I had put up this, an idea, and that's all it really was at the time, right? But because you can't trade this until it's completed. And this was a potential bat harmonic, which is a bearish pattern once completed, but it's obviously super bullish to complete it. And this is back when Bitcoin was still trading at like 30K. So like if we were going to see things like this, I was looking for Bitcoin to maybe go back to like 50K. Obviously, when we had some shifts in the market where Bitcoin made a new all-time high and it was like totally, different than ETH, which is, sometimes can be a little difficult to like, analyze things and kind of look through it. So, but this is one thing that like really kept me grounded for this whole year specifically, right? So, September, October, picked up a ton of altcoins back here. This was like, I got into ETH at 1598 basically, or 1578, which was almost a low on this wick right here. And we ran that up to like, I didn't even run those. It was like longs. Like I'm not talking about spot buys. My spot buys were like back at like 1200 average, but we were getting into like longs at like literally almost the exact low. But anyways, this was a run up that took several months to kind of fulfill. And then once we did manage to get there, right? Top comes in right at 4,000, substantial drop right after that. And then the target of this is back to the B point, right? There's a couple other targets, obviously, 0.382 retrace, which we came down to and kind of sat on there for quite a bit. Gold pocket can be, looked at one as well. And that kind of overlapped right with the B point. But this at the time was 4K, right? Pattern that took it down to like 50% drop. And generally, if ETH is going to fall 50%, we get the same deal out of, Bitcoin and the rest of the market. You have to imagine that the rest of the market is not going to be in good shape, right? So this happened in March. And even though we had a few more weeks of some good, good stuff, and we had some short-term trades where every week, once again, looking at new week data, new daily data, new months, all that good stuff, right? I actually managed to, I didn't get to short this right here. I didn't get to sell the exact high, right? So, and this is really, I like to tell this like kind of information because it's a really good showcase. A lot of people will come out and just say, oh, I shorted the exact high or I bought the exact low. And I actually did manage to get this low. Not that it was the exact low by any means, but even back in, the summer of 22, right? I didn't get to buy $800 Ethereum or anything like that. Did not manage to get the exact low. I actually got like in this region. So it was like $1,200 average for spot, which is my bigger holding, versus like Bitcoin. I actually hold more Ethereum generally, and ran that up. And even though I was targeting potentially up to this 4K, I ended up, selling that out at like 3,300, 75% of it. So I still held 25%. And once again, just kind of walking everybody through it, like the market idea of like when we were going through this move, one of two things could happen here. I could get left behind, in the sense of like, if I'm selling, I still had 200% profit. I mean, I had to take something off the table, and that's just, years of being in this market. That's just what I've learned, and something I try to do a lot better, right? Is because I've definitely done the opposite too, right? I rode 2017's high, or the whole year. I rode everything up, man, 200x, 300x, a couple things. and gave it all back in 2018, 2019, right?
Oh
So
yeah, been
that was like
there, done that, bro.
the biggest
Been
learning
there.
curve. And so now in this time, it was like on top of just constantly, it's just a constant wave, right? Overall, obviously, I'm trying to build my positions for longer term, at least in Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we don't know how many things are going to last as far as any other altcoins go. I mean, maybe Ethereum doesn't stay around too, who knows? But
Nah, I definitely think Ethereum at this point is going to stay.
I do too. I think there'll be plenty that do stay. Definitely just like a lot that won't, right? But
Grand
but yeah,
majority.
so like, and one thing that you'll look at like some successful investors, right? Like Warren Buffett, for example. What does he do? He might not sell the exact high on something or buy the exact low and all this, but
he's dumping Bank of America right now,
dude. And he's also sat in like a lot of cash, pretty much the entire like after the COVID rally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or before COVID, he was sitting in cash like that whole time. Not all cash, obviously. Like and like I said, it's profit, and he's been building for years and years and years, but he sells the rips, right? Like, and people always say to buy the dip, but like it really does you have to kind of really, for me. So I ended up offloading 75% of my ETH allocation at sell the exact high. Now I had still 25% of that position just in case market continued without me. Still had all that from $1,200, but now I had 75% of my allocation putting cash on the side, preparing for a potential 50% drop. I actually managed to hedge myself pretty well, because even though I didn't short the $4,000 high, when it came back to 39.55, I think I even sent you a screenshot that day. I was at the beach. It was like Memorial Day or whatever, back in May. And I shorted 71,400 for Bitcoin, and I shorted literally 39.55 for ETH. At the time, I was doing an alert service too, and I put both those alerts out. I don't do that anymore, but it was a pretty successful one at that too. I just the person I was working with didn't work out, but and I was targeting a 50% pullback at those highs, and came down, and then once again, living through these moves is wild, right? So talking about it now is like a simple thing, like, oh yeah, short at 39.55. Like, to me, that was an easy trade because I tuned out everything. I didn't care. The ETF for ETH was getting literally launched, I believe, that day or something, or the next day. It didn't phase me. It didn't like distract me from the technical analysis, right? So that was just what it was. So was I prepared to lose that trade? For sure. But it was just a short-term trade, right? But that was a leverage trade that I ended up taking down almost 10x on the drop, right? So now I had 75% of my allocation that I, did not have to hold through a 50% pullback, which still would have been in profit, but that would have been
the thing that people need to understand, that there's only two ways to continue to be an investor, right? To continue sustaining yourself as an investor. The only way you can continue to grow your portfolio is one of two ways. Either you continue to bankroll, aka you have a fiat mining job, right? That you're continuously feeding that money, that extra income that you have. Oh, we're going for that daily value area low, dude, on the range. This thing is going down. Either you continue to dump money into the market and buy the dip, right, endlessly forever. For many, many years, you have to be a very long-term investor to eventually see that profitable. Or you have to take profits at some point, wait for a pullback, even if you don't get the 50% pullback, right? Just getting a 25% pullback means you took 25% of the profit off the table, reallocated your capital once again, and you are now back at the same position, right? The same amount of Ethereum or the same amount of whatever tokens you had before, and you can ride that back up again. And that's how you continue to sustain yourself, by taking profits off the table, or you have to have an endless bankroll of continuously dollar cost averaging. And with the way life is, prices going up, it's harder and harder to bankroll yourself unless you have a very, very well paying job, because job salaries are not keeping up with inflation. Nobody's getting a 10-15% salary raise at the end of each year, right? And inflation is way higher. Maybe getting 3% at best, and that back then would just keep you break even. And now you're deeply in the loss. So it's hard to do these things, but what you're saying is facts. That's the only way to sustain yourself, and that's why you've been able to sustain yourself in the long term.
And that's the thing too. Like if you are, I'm not a I'm not a Warren Buffett, right, with millions and millions. I'm looking at this trade here because I think you might have a chance here to jump in again for that long.
Come on, baby.
Real quick, show my screen.
Oh, okay.
So this was the second, trade option that I was going to look for today, right? Which earlier today we were looking just when we came on the stream, and to kind of recover, right? Like when looking at this as an overall day, I'll take off the sessions for now. But there was a few options that we had like as coming into just for some short-term stuff. So we got the daily pivot up here that, this was our average price from yesterday. And when we were trading down here earlier today was an area that you want to be aware of. And for a ideal move, it would have been back to the gold pocket. Okay. So for this move here, low to high, price came back down. So anybody that entered right here probably had a stop loss right there, would have got stopped out. Excuse me. But this would have been the ideal entry, right? Gold pocket, 58.5-ish, and then run that up. Daily pivot is definitely a take profit that you're going to look for the day. And then after that, we would look to flip that and then look for the, next one up, which would have been the 61-ish. But, that happened overnight. So for us, like for the day for today, what would we look for? We ended up taking a trade right here a little prematurely, and it wasn't a bad trade, honestly. And like I said, we had a stop loss, and the reason that you do that is because of this, right? Because otherwise we would have put a stop loss a little wider, which would have had to, pretty much go below these lows here. And you definitely would have lost, some pretty decent size there, right? Almost 2%. Right. So, we took a small, tight little stop loss is what it is, from the daily open and the VWAP, right? So when we came back down to this region here, so we came down, boom, 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 right? We had a little stop loss below there, got stopped out, no big deal. The next best thing to look for would have been the sweep of the London low. So we were talking about the sessions earlier, right? There's the Asia session, the London session. The reason I'm looking at the London session specifically, and sometimes it can be the Asia session if it hasn't been swept yet, but the Asia low was already took, right? So these are the lows, highs for the London and Asia session. So during the Asia session, which is the first session of the day, so you go Asia, London, and then New York. So we're in New York now. During Asia, right, happens, and then London session begins, you come down, you took the low, so everybody in the Asia session gets stopped out, right? Run that to the next little local level there. Now we begin the New York session, right? We were trading up in these areas here, and even though, like I said, we took the trade here just for the stream's sake, because we don't know how much price action will occur during the hour or two that we're live. So we wanted to have some fun with you guys. But the ideal one is this one right here, which we just did. So now we got an SFP, right? So it doesn't stand for Super Fun Paul, although I wish it would. But now we came down, we swept the London low, right? So everybody that was in this region here, including Crusader.
All right, so are we going long now?
Oh yeah, this would definitely be a long spot, right? And you swept this region. This is the 5 minute. Let me see the 15 minute. All right, we got a few more minutes for the 15 minute. Let's give it a second here to see. But on the 5 minute, we swept it. We closed back above it, right? And that's what you want to see. Okay, and then from here, we'll be looking to run this back up, at least back to the daily open and the VWAP for first take profit. And then after that, you can look to take the local highs here, right? So essentially now we treat this almost like a daily range, right? When we're looking at the daily range or the weekly range, we'll look to sweep the high or the low, and then we run it back, right? So if you sweep the low, you look to run it to the high. And essentially it's like a Darth Maul effect, right? You take both the highs and the lows, you stop out everybody. But in theory now, taking the London low, we look to run it back to the London high, which is basically the highs of the day so far.
All right, so we waiting for this 15-minute candle to close before running it.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you'd probably want it to come down a little bit more from here. So, I mean, if you don't necessarily get the entry, it is what it is. But, yeah, we were kind of talking when that hit. I know as soon as that hit, I was like paying attention for it. But we'll see. What else was I going to say there? But yeah, just kind of get, we're just doing this like podcast style. We don't really have any kind of
we're just talking about what's happening in the markets, what's happening in the news. Ain't nothing big happening in the news. The news has been pretty dead for a while, dude. I don't know how other people just live off the news because there's nothing going on there.
Well, and this is the thing, right? So even so, yesterday I'm surprised there was no news because usually there is something. But the TA. So like, kind of how I was saying, and it really, there's bad TA out there. Don't get me wrong. So it's not just like you can just say, the chart is the chart. You kind of have to have a strategy to to understanding it to some degree, because people, if you throw a trend line here, or if you, there's a little bit of subjectiveness, obviously, that goes into it. So that's why I like creating a strategy, or building one that, just gives you an edge to some degree. And the way you do that is by trying something out and then back testing it like crazy, right? So, and then,
Yep.
you have a setup that, like, for me, like the best setup for me is always taking the previous high or low, right? That's my favorite trade setup to look for, because it gives you a great entry. You got the widest stop loss possible, right? And then you just have the best risk to reward, because at that point you're basically running the best odds that you're getting in closest to where you get a reversal, right? And then you got the most upside or downside potential, right? Because you have the next key levels are farthest away and whatever. But and then the range trading data, right? Like, so when looking at a range with volume, right, that's about as simple as it can get. And when I say that, is it's a really great tool to look for just any kind of time frame structures, anything like that. But then on top of that, there's millions of different ways to trade too. There's not one certain way, which is really cool, I think, because you still have to get out there and fight the good fight, because there's people out there that use what's that one guy that created like a whole system, everybody follows it, it's got like fair value gaps and stuff like that, the ICT trader, the ICT guy.
ICT, I don't know.
Okay, I'm trying to think of it. It's like called like inner circle trading or smart money concepts or something like that. But that's like a whole style, right, of trading. I've never really looked into it, but there's that, which works for many people, I guess. I don't even know what a fair value gap is, to be honest with you. But stuff like that. There's all kinds of different things. But
yeah,
I was
all
going
styles
on that.
some are definitely better than others. You definitely got to find something that works for you and that can be sustainable long term. That's why I've dedicated to learn this style, because it's the only style that I've learned. Right back when we were doing TA Thursdays on Debate Crypto, we brought all types of different analysts on Thursdays that all had different styles, right? Whether it was a trend line, or whether it was some other craziness that I never understood, I could never really just, it wouldn't resonate with me. But this type of trading, this type of style with volume and profiles and naked point of controls and all that stuff, this makes sense to me, which is why I've dedicated to learning it. And it just, for me, it works. It makes the most sense to me. And somebody's asking in the chat, is it going to drop more, or is there going to be a retest of the dip? What's going to happen? Well, like CVO, like you were saying earlier, the longer we live below 60,000 outside of that big macro range for Bitcoin, the more likely it is that Bitcoin drops lower into the 40s and fully rotates that range that could potentially take us down to 43. Right? It's a potential. It's not a guarantee of any kind. It's just a possibility the longer we live under there. But if we can get back inside that range, at least this week, right, and close above it, it'd be a good sign that Bitcoin is showing some strength here and could potentially be going back up. I see Bitcoin trying to come back up. I hear the 15-minute close already. Yeah, 15-minute close. What are we doing? We longing this thing or what?
Yeah, I took a long on it. It's you could try to wait to see if it comes down a little bit, but it's a good spot. Might kind of go a little underwater here, but so yeah. And then, like I said, this was the second best trade for this morning, right? So during this little during this little New York session, let's just see locally what we got here. I mean, yeah, if we can come back to that London low and like kind of back test it, that'd be the best little entry for you.
Yeah,
I might add to mine there.
I still haven't taken it. Looking at the 5-minute here, see if we get a little bit of push down. And what are you doing? You're putting the stop loss somewhere at the previous day low, or at the value area low, the range. Walk us through your thought process. Walk us through your thought process.
Yeah.
We're
So
looking, trying to
we're
learn.
so and once again, these are like literally just small day
These are
trades.
not
For anybody.
optimal trades, guys. These are not the
No, no,
trades.
this is an optimal trade. It's what I say that for is like, you know, somebody might look at what we're doing here, right? And like even earlier when you got stopped out, right?
Yep.
They might say, well, why didn't you just leave it open or put your stop loss lower so you could have just caught this? But you would have been down double what you know originally got stopped out on, and then you don't know if the price is going to stop here, right? So from when we're trading all the way up here, so that's why we took the small tight stop loss, and then we re-entered here, and you know there's still like some should be some caution at these levels because you do have yesterday's low just below us and all that good stuff, right? Am I going to put the stop loss below there? That's probably too much for me. I'll probably go throw it around probably around 1% from where I entered. And even though I know that seems foolish to some, it's just, once again, this is just a small day trade for me. I'm not looking to, you know, make this in anything crazy. I already took my swing trade positions yesterday. So if I come down and I end up losing, I didn't take the one with Crusader because I knew that the market would dump as soon as he entered. So I wanted to get my entry, so I made him go in before me. but yeah, so the thought process behind this smaller trade is that right, I'm just going to, you know, if we start to come down past these levels, then you know, we'll have to probably have a bigger situation on our hands. But yeah, I'll probably throw it about 1%. I am going to add to this if we come down to the like back test this London low once again. I did just enter a little prematurely up here just because we're talking and streaming and whatever in case we went into something else. But and the reason that this low right here, this is now the 1 minute time frame, which is super small. But if you take it and we look locally, right, we got the wick down already to our little local high. The gold pocket of this little retracement is like right here at this like 58, 540, 525. And then just a back test in general of like the London low would be something, you know, we'd look for to just kind of hold it. But yeah, I'll probably add to this here in a second at this like 58, 525 ish, like right now. So I'll probably add it right now. You can enter if you'd like, Crusader.
Going in. I mean, baby, I'm up $2.
Why swing trade BTC? Somebody asked. So I do a little bit of everything, right? So I have the long-term positions as well. But we see how long, if, you know, why not swing trade Bitcoin? Look at how many opportunities we've had over the last few months, right? So if you could capitalize on all these moves here, which most people probably think is impossible, but I'll walk you through right now on what's going on.
Somebody said the Crusader and CVO are the best duo.
Nice. Appreciate the kind words there. I'm gonna walk you through real quick on like how you could have managed, and this is not hindsight looking back and being like, oh, whatever. These are active moves that I have traded myself, have prepared and put out there for, you know, my Discord group. Like I said, at the top, during this whole run right here, I was actually giving alerts for an alert service that I gave 150 alerts in a 3-month period with over 300%, you know, winning percentages. Obviously, that's not like it's gauged, but 68% win rate, whatever, right? And when you look at this, it's like, okay, this is just chop. And then for the long-term investor, yeah, like, you know, like, why am I going to swing 10, 20%, whatever? But, you know, I have the long-term positions aside and I look for key areas to, you know, add to that. And then I utilize swing trades to build more capital to basically build up the long-term bags, right? So going back all the way to this region, right? We came up, we made a new all-time high. We came over here. All right. So we'll go ahead. I'm just going to put it up as we go. So we had our April range, right? Let's go ahead and start this with March, actually. So March. So we came up, we made our new all-time high. Not much you can like really do at the time on that, but we had built this out. We had some more data coming in, right? So now when we walked into April, what did we do? Right, we came up, basically rotated this range. And to start off, actually, this was actually my first trade that I put up in that alert service. We were trading right into the high. So this is actually April 1, right? So you got March's data right here, boom. April 1 starts. We were at the high, looking for a rotation to the low. Simple as can be, right? Just simple range rotation. From there, range rotation back to the highs. What did we do? We took the next month, right? We took the month's high there when we came to that. All right. So then now what are we looking for at that point, right? So now we're trading at 8th of April, basically. We're up at $72,000 once again. All right. And looking at that, we had a untapped quarterly pivot, right? So for the first quarter of the year, we had the average of price generated, which was somewhere on here. Either way, it was basically 61K, right? So we were trading right here. This was the next dump we came down to. We wicked a little bit past it, but we came right down to 61. I think it was like 61.8 or something like that. So that was what I was targeting at that time. Looking for shorts, right? Didn't catch the exact move because obviously, you know, we wicked a little bit lower, but 61. From there, we were just looking to get back into the range, right? So the overall range at this point was up in this area here. What did you look for at that point? Let's just kind of back this up. Oh, got a drunk one. Got a drunk one, Crusader.
Well, we're pumping, baby. Up $53, up 6%. Let's go. Making back that stop, that loss that I got earlier. Let's go. Let's see if we can at least break even.
Heck yeah, man. We'll switch it over to that real quick. But right here, we pumped up, point of control, right? Got us right there. Then we dumped it down to 50. What was that? 55. So at this point here, this was actually one of the best trades that I, caught, and I got it exact short, right? So this was let's see here. It was this one. I'm sorry. So this one here, we dumped out, basically just took all the lows, right? You had March, you had April lows. We came down, we swept them. We got a reclaim of all those lows right here. And then what we were looking for back into the range. And this is when I came and we were looking for a potential harmonic. All right. I don't know if I think my keyboard just died. I was like, I'm having some technical difficulties on my side here. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. My keyboard just
the keyboard's dead. It's battery operated.
Yeah, I think it's like a Bluetooth one.
No.
It's all good. But yeah, so we had this little pattern kind of emerging here. And with the Ethereum setup that I already had in my mind, noting that we had a potential 50% pullback coming, I was like, all right, what am I looking for on Bitcoin now? So that was just simple range trading, some high time frame averages, right? And then simple sweeping of lows, right? So like I said, you had the April and March low as well. You had the lows coming in right here, right? So we swept those, come back in, right? Run the range once again. But at this point, this little, drop here, this is when I started looking for this potential harmonic pattern, which was, I got it as the all-time high shark. So this is a bearish pattern that once completed, it's bullish on the way up basically, but bearish, all in all. And the targets of this are basically back to these levels right here, right? So the 0.5 Fibonacci, which came in like weeks later. Then we basically blow right through the gold pocket. So it's not even worth putting it on here. But if you lose the 0.5, it's straight to the 886 most likely. And then the ultimate target after that is the 113. So basically taking the lows once again of this region. So we hit that on July 4th or 5th. And once, like I said, like it took like 6 weeks to kind of unravel. What are you looking for at that point, right? So once again, like this is go back on the swing trade question. Somebody asked me why I would swing trade Bitcoin. And like I said, there's definitely a way you can do it, right? So at that point, we were just looking to rotate the range once again. That was July when that occurred. So what is July? July is a new quarter. So now we have a new quarterly range, right? So what did we look to? Get back in the range, rotate the range. At the high here, I was heavily exiting all altcoins, looking for shorts, right? Alerting the group, right? It was basically between 67 and 69K is where I was looking for the shorts. We pushed up just to 70K, rotated the range, did all the good stuff. And then this was the point where I was looking for that potential 43K on the 6th through the 8th of August. And then on the 5th, we came down to 48, right? Front ran the 43K target for Bitcoin, but Ethereum came down and hit its target, which was kind of the kicker, right? Which like the whole time Ethereum was the reason I was like looking for cautious, I guess, being a little bit more cautious, but yeah, we hit that there. So
talking about cautious, I'm up 10%, baby. Let's go.
Is that it? All right, so you break even for the day?
No, I'm not break even in dollar amounts. I can tell you that.
What'd you do? You took a bigger size.
I did a 25x instead of a
Oh, jeez.
Gotta get it back up, bro. Gotta break even.
Yeah, look at that. So this was exactly what we were looking for, right? So could this still dump? Absolutely. You always have the
don't bring.
I don't know which. I don't know which way the market's going to go. But what'd you say?
Don't bring that kind of negativity here, bro.
No, well, I entered this one too, so it's not going to dump now. So no, I'm just kidding.
Okay. He's connected. He's connected to the whales.
Yeah. I texted your new follower. What was it? Was it Medell?
Yeah, something like that. Show you guys right here. Oh, pulling back a little bit up, 8%, $66 was up over a little bit over 10% just a second ago. But go ahead, keep going.
Nice. So how much? What do we need to break even?
Break even. I lost $135 amount.
All right. So and then yesterday, what were you up? You were up.
Yesterday I was up like what was it? Well, 150. It was like something. It was yesterday. It was like 150 up yesterday.
All right, so we're still green for the week.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let me see. I think I can pull up the history right here. Order history. Yeah, so you see, lost 135, 14% this morning, and then yesterday closed 159 positive. Day before that, 122. And where's my other trade? And then that was the big loss that I took last week. That I took a few days off from trading.
Nice. What is this Blowfin?
Yeah, it's Blowfin.
Dude, I've never used a desktop for trading. Like an exchange wise like this, obviously like for like Coinbase or some bigger platforms, but I've always just been a phone trader somehow.
Using the phone is very convenient. The only reason why
sometimes it's very inconvenient too, and you hit the wrong button, or if you don't have service, or
well, but you can also do a lot of stuff on the go, right? You're looking at trading view on the go, and then you just jump in, jump out, take profits on the go. Versus there was a long time that I wasn't using the phone. And I was just like, dude, like I can never trade because I'm not. I got to be on the computer all the time, which makes it very inaccessible, and which also gives the opportunity for other people that are out there, they're 9 to 5, right, but also want to be trading. Like, hey, use your phone, right? You're setting up your charts before you go to work. Whether you use your desktop or your phone, I would suggest your desktop because it's a lot more quicker. The phone takes a long time setting up the charts, but you can get used to it. I do it sometimes. And then you just jump into your trades while you're at work. You set up your alerts, and you know when to jump in and when to jump out. And you can do it on the go while still working your 9 to 5 and not think like, oh, I just can't sit at my computer all day, so I can't trade.
Especially for like the key, like so yesterday, for example, right? Alert City, right? As soon as we were getting that dump, and yesterday is a really good example of how, depending on your what you're doing, and like I said, I'm not just like only day trading crypto. Like I while we're waiting for these like moves, in the market where it seems like, takes forever. Cause right now we haven't seen anything crazy. More so it's just been sideways and down. Right. So if you're just long-term holding, yeah, it's great and whatever, but got to have something to do in between. So,
go to the gym, get big.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, so like I was away from the computer yesterday when everything was hitting. And then I think you even texted me or something like that because you were like, oh, we hit that $60,000 area. Mm-hmm. And then it's really important, I think, to set alerts, even if it's for mid to long term, like buy areas, right? If it's something that you want to like look to buy for the long haul or something. And it's really important to set alerts on Bitcoin because obviously Bitcoin's kind of the pulse of the market. And when Bitcoin came down to that level yesterday, like I said, it didn't even close like a 15-minute candle at 60,000. It just basically, it came down, it kind of held there for a minute, and then it just straight kept melting. At that point, it was like, all right, well, we're probably going to run the range, and that's exactly what we did, right? So I bring that up because if you would have had preset anything, you would be still underwater essentially, which is what it is, right? Like for long-term buys or anything like that, you got to be comfortable underwater a little bit, right? You're not going to always buy up the exact lows. And most times you probably won't, but
I spent 3 years underwater, bro. When I first got into crypto, I bought I bought Bitcoin at a 50% discount from 20,000 down at 10. And I thought it was the greatest buy ever. And then I spent the next 3 years that thing going all the way down to $3,000. Ethereum, same thing. Uh, no matter how many times I bought Ethereum at 300 or 400, 600, that thing came all the way down to $80. For the 3 years after 2018, everything was underwater for 3 to 4 years, just straight underwater consistently. Not a single break into the profit zone. I can tell you that. And I stuck it out, and here I am 7 years later, and we're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and that's so I have a trading group that I put up posts and
You do?
whatever,
Please tell me about
it. But I bring that up because a lot of people will join it and think that even with everything that I produce, like obviously I'm putting out key regions for the ideal thing is that I look for key levels for mid to long term plays on altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, and then basically every day it's like daily moves, right? So like the move yesterday on Bitcoin was not predicted by any means, but it was like it was to be I was prepared. I was prepared for that move. It was a very technical move. We see it time and time again. And I prepared everybody for that on Sunday, right? So 2 days later when it's happening, you got to kind of be quick on your feet to decide what you want to do, but at least you're not having to
have a game plan.
Yeah, at least you're not going through the emotions of being like, what the hell's going on? Like I said, I was not sweating at all when I was waiting for Bitcoin to come down to the range low yesterday and buy it up. And I was able to basically get in with almost at the exact low. Not that I knew that was the exact low. I just during the time,
plan, right? You planned.
Yeah, and it didn't affect it at all, and it came in and didn't stress me out, whatever. And but I was gonna say that it's on your point where 7 years later now here you are, like it took me years to get to that level where and like this is almost like any profession out there, right? It's gonna take you 3 to 5 years minimum. And the whole 10,000 hours to become a pro or a professional at something is definitely something that this is something where you have to go by that. And there's just so many different versions of what we look for every day. And like I said, because I have a certain strategy for long-term plays, I have a certain strategy for swing plays, I have a certain strategy just for day plays. And you got to be able to cycle through those, but also you got to be able to learn those. And it's there's no shortcut in it. Like it's even if I come out here and I give everybody all the stuff, until you go through it, until you're living that day when Bitcoin drops, $7,000 in an hour, and for the hundredth time to us, yep. Like this is like it just seemed like, dude,
but
FTX collapse.
When you have skin in the game, right? When you actually have money in the game, is different, and it's okay when you're like a long-term investor. You're not going to get liquidated, right? But in trading, if you're not protecting yourself with stop losses, you are going to get liquidated, and that means that you lose your entire account, goes to zero. Right, and it blows up your account. Trust me, I've been there. I started back in September learning how to trade like this in your group, and it definitely takes time. And the biggest enemy is not the education, it's not the learning curve. It just takes time. What the biggest enemy is yourself, right? It's the emotions you have to deal with, making sure that you're disciplined enough to stick to your plans, right? If my plan is 10%, right, sometimes I break those rules and then I pay the price for it, like that 275%. The $275 loss that I showed earlier was because I was in profit twice, more than 10% that day, and I got greedy and I didn't take profits, and then it went back up to my stop loss, and I got hit hard. So the biggest thing is always yourself. You're the biggest enemy of yourself when it comes to trading and making money, because either one, you try forcing a trade, you try rushing a trade, you get greedy with a trade, or you're too fearful and you hesitate on your entries that are optimal, but you're so scared, right? That's why when I lost $275 last week, I said, you know what? I found myself trying to enter trades the next 2 days, and I just couldn't. I was hesitating, and I said, it's okay. I'd rather hesitate, not get in, not lose any money, right? But I realized I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just not going to look at the charts for a couple of days, completely recuperate mentally, get prepared, and then say next week, Monday, I'll jump back in and I'll start trading again. And that's what I started doing. I mean, those are the things you just got to learn. You got to learn yourself. You got to learn how you actually feel, because it's all easy and fun to talk big game. Oh yeah, bro, I long it. I don't care. Oh yeah, I'm a DJ and I'll short. I don't care. Trust me, bro. You start losing enough money, you're gonna care.
Oh
You're
yeah,
gonna care.
and one of the things too that I think I always say hodling, but like holding, right? Like so,
Mhm.
for me to offload 75% of my ETH allocation, right, that I was talking about back in March, and I didn't sell the exact high, right? That's
Yep.
$3,300 is where I took that out at. And I actually started buying back in yesterday. So I didn't even buy up the exact low, even though I was targeting $2,100 ETH, right? And we can still go lower, right? So I still have a piece of that like set aside just in case, maybe this 43K Bitcoin goes down, whatever. But I also was able, like holding in general can be hurtful to yourself on occasion as well, right? And especially when you have size, right? If you're actually building up to 6 figures plus, I mean it's hard to watch 50% get wiped and then make it back, have to wait a year or two before it's back to normal, right? So that is something that you kind of have to manage yourself too, right? So once again, it's all on yourself almost. But yeah, it's I was going to say something. Oh, the patience is what it all boils down to as well. So just like what you just said, like where you're jacking yourself up and you waited till Monday, you just said whatever. And it's probably my biggest thing that I always go on is there's always another trade. And we say the term trade, and I know that not everybody's a trader like daily, but there's always another opportunity, right? Like even yesterday we dropped to like 50 whatever K. And if anybody missed that, like they were away from their computer, it was like 7 p.m. right Eastern.
Yeah, I missed it. I wasn't. Yeah. I saw it happen, but it would happen too fast, and I missed the entry. I was even live talking about like, oh, I'll wait for the retest.
Right,
it didn't come.
Right, but it's one of those things where if you do miss it, you just wait for the dust to settle, right? Wait for that daily close. Wait for because like what does happen, just like how we just saw today, right? We took a trade at the beginning of this stream. It was not the best trade as far as like the most ideal setup at the moment, but we're live. We wanted to do it. We got stopped out. Instead of revenge trading, because it's like, Crusader said himself, it stopped him out and it started pumping again. And most people probably would jump right back into that.
Yep. Been there.
Yeah. But you can't do that. So like what we did at that point, now we just waited for the next best entry. It came about an hour later, right? Anybody else probably got stopped out again on if they entered back where Crusader entered at. And we don't know that this is going to be, the end all be all trade for the day, and it might, get stopped out as well. But it's a better entry. There's more strategy behind it. There's more technicality behind it, right? And it's just a better probable trade to take. But we had to wait for it, and that's the biggest piece of this is that so many people are impatient. And also if it's like, okay, I've been waiting, and then the move happens when you're not around or you can't pay attention, then they're very eager. The biggest thing I can put out there for anybody is that if you're ever in a position where you feel like you are literally like racing to your phone or to your desktop, or like that's not a good time to be putting on
a chill pill.
Just take a chill pill, because you will definitely get the opportunity, right?
You're going to realize that you can't make the market do what you want it to do. The market's going to do whatever it wants to do, and it's going to teach you that real quick, that you're not the boss. You're just here playing, right, in the playground, but you don't run the playground, and the boss is going to come around and is going to stomp you left and right, and no matter how much you do, you're going to get stopped out when you go long. You're going to get stopped out when you go long, because that's happened to me. I've tried revenge trading in one day. Okay, it's going short. Okay, I'm a short now. Oh, it's starting to pump. Okay, I'm a long now. And I'm losing either way it goes. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am I losing when I long? Why am I losing when I'm shorting? And it's just you're not in a clear mental space. You're just trying to force things, like making the market do what you want it to do, and you cannot make the market do what you want it to do. And it's all about learning who the true enemy is, and the true enemy is in here. It's inside your head. That's your enemy.
That was deep, Crusader.
You got to stay hard, bro. Stay hard.
You got me in my feels on that one, bro.
It's right here, bro.
Dude, Bitcoin's pumping, baby.
I know, bro. We're up. At least I'm up $115.
It's pumping, baby.
Let's go.
Come on. I want this to get us in the green before we hop off.
That'd be great.
Get you in the green, I guess. I threw you into the fire earlier. My bad.
I've been in the green all day. I long distance yesterday. I'm longing it again, baby. I'm making money left and right here.
I just didn't have I just wasn't able to jump in right earlier because I didn't have I was still trying to set up the TikTok. So I would have jumped in with you, but I was like, it was so funny. I was like, man, I was like, watch him go in by himself, and then the move drop, and then give me the better entry. And then you know what, man? That's why we make a good team, I guess. You know, everybody needs the dumper. You know,
yeah, bro. Sometimes it's gotta be. You gotta be the sacrificial pawn sometimes for the greater good. It's okay. It's okay. So for the greater good of the show, for the greater good of the people watching, that sometimes you lose money. We're not gonna win every single trade. We're gonna lose trades too. And it's part of the game. No matter how great the TA is, anything crazy can happen, and it can go the opposite way. That's why you use stop losses to protect yourself, because that's always a possibility. It's just the name of the game. There's no 100% win rates. Anybody out there with 100% win rate, I can tell you, ain't no 100% win rate. Ain't
they got 100% win rate, all right, but that's just because they're holding the 96 losses for decades.
96% of losses that they have, they're still open, so they're not counting that as a loss just yet. They're buying those. They're buying those.
There it is, baby.
Let's go, baby. 132. We're getting that pump now, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
45. What do you need to break even?
Well, I could technically.
I can't believe you went so big on that one, bro. So that's another thing we're gonna work on, right? Because like I said, a good example of that.
I can break even right now. I'm more than, but off their fees, I'll probably break even.
Yeah, I'd let it run to the VWAP at least. Day open again.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for here.
For that, pop it on my chart real quick. I have that little setup still. So for anybody just popping in, we try to grab a trade live, right? So. And we had a few setups that we were looking for, and the second, really the second best trade setup of the day was this, right? And what it was is that we covered how every day there's sessions in the market, right? Like in the Forex market or just really any market, right? You have the Asia session that starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, then you have the London session, and then you have the New York session. So just like taking previous day highs and lows, there's session highs and lows that you can kind of cycle through. And the Asia, so when the day started for Bitcoin, we had already dropped lower yesterday, and then when the day started, our daily low at the time for today was 58.8. All right, and when the London session began, the Asia low was set for 58.8, give or take. So we came down and we swept it. We came also right into a local gold pocket, right? So that would have been, if you were trading 4 a.m. or looking for an entry or anything like that, that would have been, the trade of the morning right there. And then we ran that basically. We didn't trade this. So I'm just saying like the price action ran to the daily pivot, which is yesterday's average price, which would have been a money trade of the day, right? That was like 2 or 3% short-term, like day trade stuff, right? So that moved there. That happened overnight for us, right? So we wouldn't have been probably getting in on that action. But the London session came and took the Asia session low into that key level. That was a long all day. So now we went into New York session, okay, and that started at 8 a.m. That's the globally recognized New York session, not the 9:30 a.m. opening bell. And we came down and we were looking for a sweep of the London low now, right? So now we were in the New York time frame. We started up here, right? We already hit the daily average, all that good stuff. Not a great area to enter along. We pulled back to the VWAP, which is this volume weighted average of price, as well as our daily open. So this was kind of our first trade setup of the day, right? This was where we were looking for a potential pullback. We got long right here, tight stop loss, whatever, because it wasn't really ideal. And I wanted to bring that up because Crusader had entered this earlier. And obviously we're trading live and, kind of having some fun with it. But when I set up certain things, like, I probably would not have put the most size on this trade, right? Because this wasn't ideal. And this has a little bit more weighted to get stopped out, right? Which is what we did. And then now the ideal situation was to come down and sweep the London low, which is back here at 58,500, which we did just about, 30 minutes ago while we were doing the live stream. So we were breaking this down live, right? The price was dumping and right in front of you, right? No emotion. I even came out and I said this was like the best trade at the moment, right? Because you just did, just that, right? We swept a low, stopped everybody out. Even anybody who managed to get in on any of this yesterday and they're like heavily leveraged to the tits, they're going to move their stop loss up, when they wake up. So that would have stopped them all out. And this is just, is a guaranteed trade by no means, but it was just the best trade, right? So we got stopped out up here for a loss. We re-entered now. For me, we're looking to run this back to the daily open or the VWAP, which is both up here about 59.3, and then ultimately looking to run this back up to the London high, right? So if you were to look to scale out of some, take profits on that, like that's kind of how I'd look to kind of run it. We're obviously up at the moment. Where did you enter at, Crusader? Did you enter literally like at the 58.5?
Let me see. My entry point was 58. No, sorry. What the heck? It was 58.508.
Okay. So
a little bit.
Yeah. So it's up, and we're just kind of, and now you just wait, right? So it's probably going to have some back and forth. Could it still come down and stop out? Sure could, but at the moment, we
don't like that negativity here. Up only, baby. Up only.
All right, yeah, we gotta get under it.
Come on.
Oh, there it just tucked back up.
There we go, baby.
But yeah, and then ultimately, it's a slow morning, so it's already noon. Wow. Ultimately, I'm looking to run.
It wasn't a slow morning if you were shorting from that London high. Let me tell you, that was a great short all the way down. Like, wow, what a productive morning this has been.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're looking at there.
We're coming back up now. Come on, baby. Come on, go up.
All right, and then one more time. I'm sorry. What did you need to make up for the stop trade? 150,
135. We're at 122 right now. Obviously, there's some fees that's going to be taken off.
Right.
It's almost break even.
All right.
It definitely would have been break even when we were up at 150. We were like up 150, 160. Didn't take it at that point. Trying to wait for the VWAP to come back up, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we'll see. Good stuff.
It is what it is. But guys, if you're looking to get into the trading group, if you want to learn about the trading group, the links are all over the place. If you're watching on YouTube, the links are down below in the description of the video. If you're on the chat, it's obviously pinned in the chat as well. If you're on TikTok, you can go over into my profile, click on the link on my profile, my link tree. It's the first link up there. You can jump in there and you can get the link to join the group. And if you use the word Crusader at checkout, 50% off on the first month for the trading group, which means it'll be only $30 a month, which means there's only $1 per day. And as you can see with the trades I made yesterday, I already paid for 2 months of the group. So it is what it is. That's just the name of the game. You test it out. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys want to learn. There's tons of obviously value in the group because not only do you have CVO, but you got tons of updates all day long. Yesterday, he was making updates from 6 in the morning all the way to like 7 p.m. And then
a long day, man.
Still making updates all day long. So there's no more value for your buck for literally $1 to $2 a day. There's no more value than that you can ask for.
Got my boy Crusader, the shameless shill.
Hey, bro, you gotta speak the facts. If it weren't facts, I wouldn't be shilling it because I won't tell people lies. But that's just
somebody's asking where we stand on Avalanche and Chainlink, and I know you got a pretty good stance on Avalanche, right?
I'm very bullish on both of them. I'm very bullish on both. They're both tied into the real world asset game. So they're both overall very, very strong. Obviously, Chainlink is an oracle. It's literally connected to like almost every single project and every single Web 2 company that's getting involved with Web 3. So they're very, very strong project. Still pretty far away from its all-time high, was somewhere around like $50 to $60 in the last bull market. And AVAX itself, also in the real world assets, just got massive 2 big institutional announcements last week. One is Grayscale making a trust fund to buy it up. Second one was Franklin Templeton, one of the institutions that have a Bitcoin ETF, tokenizing their money fund on AVAX. AVAX has been kind of chosen here for some tokenization of real world assets for a while now. That being said, it's nowhere near its all-time high of $150. So I definitely think there's good potential here for that as well. So I'm very bullish on both. Damn, nice little pullback here, right? Kick to the nuts. We're still up, baby. Still up. But it definitely ain't as good as when it had a one in front of it. That's just what it is. I'll keep holding this trade for the rest of the day, see what happens.
Let's see. We'll post the results on Twitter.
Yeah, definitely gonna post the results on Twitter, see what happens. Currently still up on the trade. Hopefully it keeps pulling, it pulls back up around, goes back up towards that VWAP. I don't see why not, but you know, if it wants to kick me in the nuts, it's just not my day. It's just not my day. And it goes part to the fact that, you know, also if I didn't take profit, the only one to blame is me, right? I was up $160. I would have been more than break even at that point, even after fees. Didn't take it, you know, because I'm waiting for the VWAP, waiting for the greed. So I want to make more money than just break even today, right? That's the greed aspect right there. So if it comes back and kicks me in the teeth by hitting my stop loss, it's my fault. I should have taken it when I had it, and I didn't. So, you know, that's just a lesson to be learned. Overall.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. But the other thing too with that is how much what's your stop loss gonna stop you out on? Like how much would you lose?
This one, I think maybe like 150, I think.
So 150. Like the one thing that I think a lot of people struggle, which you're not wrong with saying that when it was up $150, you could have just took it, broke even for the day. But in my that would have been a good thing to do in the sense of like being done, right? Just being like, whatever, I just broke even for today. Problem is most people will probably go look for that. You know, if it continues pumping from there, people will try to get back in, which is fine, but you just don't have that like the plan of that. But the other thing is too, is like, you know, you kind of have to give your trade time to unwind a lot of times too, right? So you'll note that we spend a lot of time, you know, ranging, and you know that's why when we look for some entries, the entry is the most important thing, right? So for right now, our entry is at the moment the current low. So you know we're in the best position to where even if it comes back down to it, it's like back at the entry, right? Like, and whatever, it gives us the most wiggle room. And you'll note almost like every major move, you know, that comes down, like the price kind of hovers around there for quite a bit of time, makes people sweat a little bit. There's almost every time you enter a position, it's going to make you sweat a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
And then a couple hours later, you get the move. So you just kind of got to give it time. At the same time, like you said, the only thing you control is how much you're going to lose. So it's $150. You know, maybe it's $200 for the day, and then whatever, we just got to come back tomorrow and make it back, right?
That's right. Just is what it is. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody. We're gonna wrap it up here. We've been live for practically almost 2 hours already.
I do have a question before you do. Somebody asked about Nvidia earnings today. What are your thoughts on that? On how it would affect crypto?
I think my thoughts are you should ask Gareth how it's going. I'm sure he's got a lot of insight on that on Nvidia. Yeah. I'm sure he's paying close attention to what happens with Nvidia. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, obviously, everybody's focusing on Nvidia because AI tokens, right? And then AI tokens are going to rip. But with the way the market's been, with the way Bitcoin is not in the uptrend that it's been in when it was back in March and February and January, I don't think that's relevant right now. It could have the greatest thing. Nvidia could have the biggest pump, whatever. AI tokens are not going to pump. Render is probably not going to pump. I just don't see that happening. We're not going to see this small little sector of crypto have a massive rally because Nvidia is pumping when Bitcoin is heading down, right? And all the other major altcoins are down. I just don't see that happening. You know, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I don't really have a grand take on it either. You know, it just like the same thing, really. It's just like for the analysis on Bitcoin right now. Like ideally, we need to get back into the range above us, right? That 60,500 area. Any moments that we spend kind of outside of it is generally not great. So could something, you know, like Nvidia come out with some negative news and get a pullback and then everything kind of go with it? You know, I guess that is sometimes how it appears, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like tied directly, but if a big move does happen, it will, you know, be around some time where the news comes in, right? Like it was yesterday, like there was nothing. And I think that actually, now thinking about it, I bet you people will say like that the drop in Bitcoin yesterday was like baking in, or the Nvidia results or something like that. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I just stuff like that. Like I
People
always
come
kind
up
of
with
go.
all kinds of wild things, man.
Yeah, but personally, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect the market in a direct way. Like, but yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't even know what time that comes out today. Do you?
I have
It's like
no idea.
It's like usually like after the market closes.
Oh yeah, probably is. Yeah, it probably is after the market closes. You're right.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. Appreciate everybody jumping in here, smashing those likes, hitting that subscribe. Join the leading Discord trading group if you haven't already. Links down in the chat, in the bio. If you're on TikTok, go on in there. Crusader 50% discount on the first month. If you guys haven't taken it, do that without what you will. We'll be back tomorrow again, 10 a.m. Eastern time. One more time for this week until we wrap it up for the week, and then we come back next Tuesday. So make sure you stick here live for tomorrow. Silvio, any parting words?
No, just have a great day, everybody, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow.
All right.
Oh, it's the exit music for me.
There
You
you
need
go.
to wear your robe again tomorrow, though, man. It's the morning stream. That's why you lost today. That you got to wear the lucky robe.